Welcome, everyone. LSU Odyssey is live here tonight to continue to break down what we saw last night. And I know you hear the sigh in my voice and the resigned resignation of defeat. Still, there is a chance here for LSU to put this back together, put the pieces correctly here in this bye week. You've seen LSU as bad as they could possibly be on an offense. There's only one way to go up, right? Only one way to go from here, and that's up, right? Well, I'm sorry, actually. You thought I was going to be here with a bunch of purple and gold tinted takes. Well, you're mistaken, because there is a very dangerous situation that LSU find themselves in right now. A situation where you might be stuck offensively with what you have from a play calling position, from a quarterback position, from an offensive line standpoint, from the passing game coordination, from the running game coordination. I mean, we brought over Alex Atkins from Florida State to fix this very, run game issue. And we haven't seen anything change on that. In fact, LSU are worse rushing the football this year than they've ever been under Brian Kelly. This is the nadir. This is the lowest for LSU rushing the football in the Kelly era. And you know what? I guarantee we could look it up and maybe there's some real, like Curly Hallman 93, 92, something like that, where LSU rushed for maybe less yards. I don't think so. I really want to look that up and figure that out. If this is up there with the lowest rushing producing offense in LSU history, because we're just not seeing it. We are just not seeing it. We're getting nothing from this offense. 57 total rushing yards, 2.6 per carry, 256 total offensive yards. 2 of 11 on third down. Garrett Nussmeier, 197 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Easily his worst game as an LSU starter. I bet you could find the stats to kind of back that up as well, that he probably hasn't thrown for less yards in a start outside of maybe the Arkansas game, his first ever start as a freshman, and he still by far outplayed his performance in that game as a freshman against Arkansas than he did yesterday. And I'm not here to pile on Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is playing through 3 different injuries right now. It's clear his torso/abdominal injury continues to get worse. It's clear it affects how he can pass the football, and his zip, his purpose, his emphasis, projection on the football, it is all lacking because of that pain. I mean, imagine having something just searing that rip right through your core and trying to heave something, throw a football on your back foot, someone's in your face, all this stuff. It's not good. And this is the type of thing I did not want to see. I was talking about it over and over and over preseason. And I said, we have an injured quarterback before we even started the season. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be injured throughout this season. And people thought I was being panicky. I was being, overreactive. People thought I was just kind of losing it. Oh, he only has tendinitis. Listen to what Kelly just said. He only has tendinitis. This is all good. And it comes to find out that Nussmeier, like I said, has an abdominal injury, and it is clearly affecting how he throws the football. You saw some resurrection of it against Southeastern, and you've got people like Hunt Palmer, who on his show was saying, clearly they only told us about the injury when Nuss was recovering from it. And now he's recovering from it. You saw him against Southeastern look the best that he had all year throwing the football. Right? And there were signs that, okay, we put up 56 points. This offense will get it together. They'll score 30, 35 points a game, right? Right? We've got the weapons. We got the personnel here to do this. Well, LSU, man, they have stunk it up offensively. It is hard to watch. You are seeing offensive linemen tripping over each other, not just missing blocks or things like that, tripping over each other. I've watched the game 3 times now. 3 times. Once just like it along with everybody else. A second time where I kind of skimmed through it and really made sure to go through all the identifying the biggest plays of the game. But then I watched it a third time today. And this, my friends, was a horrific watch. Because I'm expecting just missed blocks from the offensive line. I watched the offensive line tripping over themselves. We saw Bauer Sharp, Harlem Berry running into each other's back. Almost like a butt fumble type of play. We saw some horrific decision making where you could not run against a rush of 3, maybe 4 at most, but usually 3, and constantly dropping 8 into coverage, and you're constantly throwing it into that coverage. What in God's name was the game plan? What in God's name were we thinking? I just LSU has never figured out how to run the football in this Kelly era. We cannot do it. And I was thinking about this. I've said this a few times. Kind of just kind of like hypothesizing. Why did this happen? When did this begin? And I'm thinking, you know what? They started this with the benefit of a rushing dominant quarterback, a guy who could really rack up the yards rushing the football. And a dual threat quarterback who could absolutely just make you look good, make the play caller look a lot better than he is, make the whole offense look a lot better than they are. Definitely make the offensive linemen look better than they were as a collective. All those individuals on that offensive line were great. Those guys are great players. DeGarrett Dellinger, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Miles Frazier. But then together, they could pass block like the Great Wall of China. They could not run block to save their lives. And Logan Diggs had some success. John Emory Jr. had some games of success. Outside of those guys, LSU running the football, anonymous. Completely anonymous. Caden Durham had half of a season where he showed up and really dragged the team by the nuts over the line against South Carolina, and then really showed out against South Alabama. Had these moments, Caden Durham. But the injuries and certain other things have really made it so he's been ineffective this season so far. 96, 93 yards against I think it was Florida, but outside of that, he's been having 20-something yards a game, and he's got a few touchdowns, a few key, pretty important touchdowns, some big plays. But outside of that 51-yard run burst, he's really had no explosion, nothing like we saw last year. And he's not seeing the field, seeing the gaps, seeing the seams, hitting, cutting it back on the counter, those type of things, reading the blocks like he should. And so it's worse than you think, in my opinion, because you could just blame it on, well, Joe Sloan sucks. Fire him. And that'll solve it all. Replace Joe Sloan. Blame it on just Joe Sloan. He's the guy. He's the one who sucks here. If you did that, okay. But then you're still not solving the offensive line development question. You're still not solving the running back development question. You're still not solving the play calling questions. I mean, obviously, if you got a top play caller, a Lane Kiffin type of guy, sure. But all of that goes with a guy like a Lane Kiffin who knows how to run, a high quality rushing attack. And he's done it for a long time. Multiple championships at two of the biggest dynasties, in modern football history, both Alabama and USC. A Saban Alabama team and a Pete Carroll USC team. You can't get better as a play caller than Lane Kiffin, an offensive mind than Lane Kiffin. And running the football is something that people don't really quite associate with him like they should. And he's been a master at it. And he showed it once again. This is an LSU defense that didn't allow, barely over 50, 60 yards a game to Florida, to Clemson, just completely clapping these guys down. I think it was Jaden Baugh had the most yards against LSU before this game with 46. 46 yards before this game and 170 yards on the ground against LSU. Go Ole Miss. I mean, we ran into a buzzsaw. We ran into a buzzsaw. It's there was a lot of confidence going into this game, and I know that's why a lot of the anger about this loss is a lot of people didn't expect it. A lot of people didn't see it coming. But I think most of the anger with this loss, with this defeat, is not just the L, but it's how you lost, and it's also what you lost in doing it. What you found out in doing it. You found out you are screwed offensively. Like you have to manufacture something this season. Because whatever it is, it's not going to be like learned and tattooed onto your brain, and you're like running this brilliant offense that everything is all fitting and all this. Like, no, this is literally going to be a cut and paste offense, and it sucks. It sucks that that's going to be what we're going to be doing this year. Is a cut and paste offense at its best. But that's where we're at. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked, y'all. I'm shocked by what we saw. I'm shocked that LSU can't manufacture even something offensively. I mean, this goes back a long way, guys. Outside of Caden Durham, outside of Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and, of course, Jaden Daniels, quarterback play. Quarterbacks putting up over 100 yards, of course. Most games, if your quarterback doesn't throw for over 100 passing yards, you're absolutely terrible. Outside of that, outside quarterback play, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and then Caden Durham last year for a few games. Outside of those guys, you don't have many 100-yard games you can even point to. Kyron Lacey had a few. Rest in peace. Long live K2. He had a few. John Emery Jr. had a couple. But mostly this was... You don't feed the hot hand in this offense. You don't feed your best players in this offense. You don't unleash your best players in this offense. And there's such a conservative outlook in how we have so many mouths to feed. We've got to get this guy the ball too. We got to get this guy. No, If Aaron Anderson is unstoppable in a game and they cannot stop him, they cannot stop him over the middle. They cannot keep feeding him until they stop him. And there is such a lack of output, a lack of production, a lack of execution, a lack of performance, a lack of volume. You cannot score enough points. You cannot drive down the field. You cannot rack up enough yards to get field goals even. You're really needing your defense to commit turnovers, to create turnovers, to even get field goals now at this point. That's where we're at. And I don't know how bad this is going to get. And it sucks because our defense, they really had a great showing yesterday. They did everything they could to win this game. PJ Woodland gets an interception. He also had another bad, that's the thing too, is this defense also gave up 4 penalties on a single drive. A scoring drive for Ole Miss, by the way, that made them go up 17-7. That gave them half of the field in penalties. So, I mean, it's just there was a lack of discipline as well. But this defense really had a spirited effort, created 2 turnovers when LSU absolutely needed both of them. Forced a fumble on the 3-yard line when Ole Miss is about to score a touchdown. A pick from PJ Woodland, and then 5 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups. One of the pass breakups inside the red zone by Pat Payton with a swatted pass there. It was absolutely beautiful. And that denied them 4 points right there. And you felt like luck was in LSU's way. There was all these vibes going LSU's way. And for all of that feeling, you really threw it all away and let Trinidad Chambliss go off. We let Trinidad Chambliss really dictate terms to this LSU defense because our offense could not possess the ball, could not sustain a drive, 2 of 11 on third downs, only 11 total drives. Meanwhile, our defenders are out there for 88 total snaps, 84 total plays. It was exactly the scenario I said if LSU are in this scenario where their defense is out there forever, where they can't stop the run and they cannot run the football, we're in trouble. I thought there was no way Ole Miss would be able to run 170 yards on us. That's shocking to me. But also the fact that Trinidad Chambliss, rushing for 71 yards, outrushed our entire offense. Our entire offense, outrushed by Trinidad Chambliss. And everyone called him a D2 quarterback all week. He's a D2 quarterback. He's a D2 quarterback. Well, that D2 quarterback just outplayed our own, who's supposed to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. Almost handing it to him before the season began. And a few really ugly wins. And, how dare you ask questions about our terrible offense? How dare you? You cannot. You're spoiled. You're spoiled. You're entitled. How dare you ask a question about our terrible offense and how it is a theme that if you cannot run the football, it will come back to bite you in the ass, whether it's in the first game or a championship game, and you will lose. You cannot play a full season without running the football to some consistent degree and be a winning team. It never happens. Just like, playing defense. They say defense wins you championships. You have to have it to win championships. And for years, LSU did not have a defense. Now, they have one of the best defenses in the country, top 5, top 3 defense I would put up against any offense on any day. But you have the worst offense we've seen in years at LSU. How can you reckon with that when you had this flip situation, completely flipped, the flip side of this situation in 2023? You had the flip side of this situation in 2023. An unbelievable, heat-seeking, dominant, record-setting offensive juggernaut. And they were playing against two defenses every night. The opposition defense and their own, because they had to be perfect every night. They had to be perfect every game, or they're going to be screwed. And it just took one mistake against Ole Miss in 2023, and you lose that game. People talk about, well, Chris Hilton should have caught that bomb, that Hail Mary at the end. It's like, it's crazy, the ball even got to Hilton. It's crazy he even had a shot in that scrum. And the fact that it's crazy we're not even talking about our defense that could not stop anybody once in that game and allowed 50 billion points, over 700 yards. And now you can't even buy a point. You can't even buy a yard. You can't even, if it's 4th and inches, you can't even get it. You can't even put your hat on this offensive line to get those yards, to get that inch. You couldn't even push around Southeastern. You couldn't even push around Louisiana Tech. That's a reality, folks. Like 56-10 or whatever that score was. Watch the game. The offensive line doesn't bully anybody. We don't sustain any rushing attack in that game. And I'm sick of seeing LSU not being a complete team. You know? You have all of this talent. You win all of these recruiting battles. You get some of the best players in the country. Other coaches salivating for them, hitting up their phones nonstop, even during the season, breaking NCAA rules, trying to get these players to come to their place. But you've got them at LSU. And they're getting like 6 for 56, no touchdowns. 3 catches for 17 yards for Nick Anderson. Against freaking Louisiana Tech, you only get a guy like that, 3 catches, 17 yards. LSU have 0 100-yard rushers this season over 5 games and 0 100-yard receivers over 5 games. Yes, Aaron Anderson did have a 99-yard game. Yes, Barian Brown had a 94-yard game. And yes, Caden Durham had a 93-yard game. None of which are 100-yard games. The stats matter. They didn't get there. You think your play caller would be like, oh, feed them, get them that 100-yard, get them to that plateau. But no, there's no rhythm to anything with this offense. There's no rhythm anywhere. And I know people want me to talk about the quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, and if there should be a change made there. And last night, I was being pushed on that. Last night, I was being pushed on it by, I can't remember who it was in the chat for last night's show. But he basically wanted, hey, MVP should be out there. You're glazing Nussmeier. You're sticking up for your boy, like referencing, a few photos I took with Nuss, or referencing that I'm tight with Nuss and his family, whatever. It's like, I think you probably have a crazy view of what actually that reality is. Like, it's not like they're like texting me every day like their secret thoughts or something and their every desire. It's that's not how that works. But I'm also going to always shoot you straight, no matter what I think about it, and no matter what my relationship is with the people, because that is my job. You know, I'm as tight with David Weeks as I've been tight with any family or any, you know, anyone associated with a player in my history of doing this, in my career of doing this. And I've had to say, you know, Witt or West had a bad game at certain times. And I'm not afraid to do that. You know, like Emory Jones, I'm tight as hell with Emory Jones, LSU offensive lineman from 2022 to 2024. But I had no problem saying when things were not good, when the play was just, and you know what? In fact, he was usually someone who would know before anybody, because I'd be hitting him up saying, "What the hell's going on? You guys are better than this. You know, I'm going to have to kind of give you some shit tonight. You know, I'm going to have to kind of like talk about this, and I'm going to have to really put you under the microscope tonight. You made some bad plays. Like, you missed some blocks. You allowed a few sacks, whatever it is." Like, I've had to have those conversations with players and their families. And you know what? You wouldn't believe it, but when you actually shoot them straight, they're cool with it, and they understand it, and they get it. And that said, my view with Garrett Nussmeier is I think throwing Michael Van Buren out there to the Wolves, yes, started a few games for Mississippi State, had a few good games for Mississippi State, had a few moments for Mississippi State. That's not the same thing. I'm very puzzled, and I understand if Nussmeier cannot function like physically, even after this bye week, you have to make a change. You have to. If he cannot throw the football with better panache than we saw, with better zip than we saw, with better, you know, accuracy, timing, like literally everything that Nuss was supposed to take a step up from, in which we saw him in limited moments during fall camp take that step. And even if you saw film that was taken outside of the media periods, you saw film where Nuss was actually cooking our defense on some of these practices. And I just want to know, where did that go? And the answer is quite obvious. Nussmeier's hurt. Nussmeier is hurt. That doesn't absolve him of every mistake, every, you know, terrible interception, every throw he couldn't make, every you know, bad timeout at the line, when you come out of a timeout and you call, you don't know what the hell you're going to do, or a dead ball timeout. There's so many of these dumb dead ball timeouts that it almost should be a play call for Brian Kelly's LSU, a dead ball timeout. It should be a play call at this point. And I understand building Rome isn't going to come in a day, but there are constant patterns that for 4+ years now never change with Brian Kelly. And I'm not going to say you can't win the big game. He's won some big games. What I'm going to say is there's constant patterns. Not being able to run the football, not being physical up front on both sides of the line. Luckily, you seem to solve that on defense this year, and you spent a hell of a lot of money to do it. But I think in doing so, you also neglected that you needed another offensive lineman, at least one more veteran offensive lineman, and you needed another veteran running back in that room. I understand you lost JT Lindsay. You didn't expect him to go right before the season, right during fall camp. I know you didn't expect Trey Hawley to be gone as well, due to legal reasons as well. But holy crap, you are so down at running back as well. So should there be a change at quarterback? Should there be changes at certain parts of the offensive line? Should we do some coaching movements during the bye week. Well, I think actually you're going to see Brian Kelly be in that moment where he's in the spotlight and he's losing his religion. And, what's he going to do? Is Brian Kelly going to really call this out? Is Brian Kelly going to really change course drastically mid-season? We knew how long it took for him to fire Matt House, where Matt House was basically shoved out at the last second, when necessarily that wasn't what some folks wanted. But here we are with another situation where LSU have a no-win situation on one of the sides of the ball, and it's their offense, whereas before it was the defense. Is Kelly going to pull that trigger? Is he going to make that decision? Or are we going to let another season where LSU should be contending for a championship just go right down the toilet? Because that is what that's what's being threatened here with this complete lack of progress offensively, complete ineptitude offensively. You cannot run the football. They're going to drop 8 in coverage every play, dare you to run the ball. You can't 6-on-3, 6-on-4 with a tight end even there. You even add 7 with Donovan Green. You got Donovan Green. You got Bauer Sharp, 2 tight ends. You still can't run the freaking football. You're running inside zone out of pistol. That hasn't worked in 4 years under Brian Kelly. Why the hell is it still in the playbook? There's so many things that just... And here's the thing that you got to understand, too. The players are pissed as well. The players are more pissed than you could imagine. The players are questioning each other. How did this happen? But here's the thing. The players can only do so much. The players, especially our defensive players, gave everything. But if you have offensive linemen that are tripping over each other, that cannot maintain just a basic balance standing on a field, if you have offensive linemen that are consistently getting just mauled out of a play, if you have consistent communication breakdowns, there's another Led Zeppelin reference. You have constant communication breakdowns, or even, you got guys who are blocking nobody, and then Tyree Adams, isolated on his own on the wing, gets duped inside. Suntory Perkins makes a play, and it's like, we want to blame Tyree Adams for that, but it's at the same time, where was the help? That guy's blocking nobody. Obviously, it's like somebody screwed up here. Somebody didn't understand their assignment here. And that's the thing that's really disheartening about this team is, okay, they weren't going to be flashy. They weren't going to be pretty. They weren't going to be, putting up a ton of points and all this stuff. They weren't going to be racking up the yards. Okay, that's fine. As long as you are fundamentally sound. As long as you give us your best. As long as you are hungry, hearty, like take you to the limit, push you to the limit type of a team, I'm all good. I'm all fine. We'll take the wins with the losses, and we'll back this kind of a team. I see a team that feels like they're almost incapable of giving 100%. And I don't know what to think about that. And I don't get a feeling like this team is lost and they're just completely screwed here, and this is going to be a lost season just immediately. But this is a really bad game to lose. The timing, I don't think it could be worse. because this is going to be something that just rolls around for a whole week. LSU, they're going to have to sit in this for quite some time. And, Whit Weeks is going to hear those jokes about the jokes that, people were aiming at Lane Kiffin. Now there's going to come back on Whit. The jokes about a Division II quarterback, now those are going to be aimed at our guy for looking like one against Ole Miss. It's all the talk about our defense, and then their defense holds us to 57 yards. We get blown up for 170. And of course, blame it on your offense as much as you want, of course. And it's the facts. If our defense is only out there for 50, maybe 60 plays at the most, you're probably looking at an LSU victory. Like, you're probably looking at an LSU 23-17 win here. But to do that doesn't mean that the defense just has to get stop after stop after stop. Really, your offense needs to have some type of control of the game, some type of stake in the game. And they don't have it. Let's go through some of these plays. And I also want to play a recording from Brian Kelly from a month ago that I think is really, really interesting now. That was a second batted pass from Pat Payton. Just swats that thing, man. That was the second one. The other one was inside the red zone. Here's the play by Pickett. This pick six seriously could have changed things. And I was wondering, surely the flag was away from the ball, right? Away from the play. And it just so turns out that they call this on DJ Pickett, saying that he basically throws the guy out of the way before picking this ball off. Does that look like a pass interference to you right there? That's the softest pass interference I've ever seen in my life. That play could have absolutely changed things in this game. That's a play that just makes you sick. Well, let's watch this again. And I want you to really lock eyes on DJ Pickett here and tell me if he really gets rid of the guy to get to that football. It looks like he just literally grapples with him. I don't see anything there that's like, oh my God, defensive pass interference. That's scandalous that they took that away from DJ Pickett. That is scandalous. And that makes it 14-3, even after Nussmeier threw a ungodly interception in the red zone. When LSU is about to go up 10-3, maybe 14-3, and you give the ball right back to Ole Miss, but guess what? Your defense shows up again. If not for the softest pass interference call in the universe, you would have been right back up 14-3. I tell you what, this defense is even better than you understand, Once you get into the nitty-gritty and the woods of this thing, man, it's just this defense is so damn good. They really gave us everything to be in this game. Look at that. I mean, you can see it just in that photo right there of Whit Weeks just selling out, giving everything he's got. I don't see receivers diving for footballs. I don't see receivers really giving a shit about anything like that. I see our defense literally putting their bodies and minds, everything on the line. And look at that. Sage Ryan, Former LSU Tiger Sage Ryan stuffing our run game. While he's being held, too. While Bauer Sharp is holding him, basically. He's able to stuff. You know, you can talk all the smack you want about Sage Ryan. That's an awesome play. And I don't know why he wasn't credited with a tackle for loss there. Because that was clearly behind the line of scrimmage. That was clearly behind the line of scrimmage there. But Sage Ryan was, of course, unlucky early in this game where he deflects a pass that goes right into Nick Anderson's hands. And you're thinking, LSU, man, this is going to be almost too ridiculous where we're going to, like, all of our former players, the 3 former players on this team, Sage Ryan, now having that happen to him, Logan Diggs, Deshaun Womack. And instead, if it wasn't for a stupid Deshaun Womack offsides, all 3 of those players make huge plays against us. Sage Ryan was targeted 3 times, allowed like 1 catch for 7 yards, and it was the touchdown. The touchdown was actually assigned to him by Pro Football Focus, even though he wasn't even guarding the guy. The guy he was guarding, he actually batted the pass away. He didn't. Other than that, he didn't allow a catch, and we targeted him only a few times, and he only made a few little tiny errors, like on 1 play or something like that. Like other than that, like he was incredible against us. And Logan Diggs scores a big touchdown against us. Deshaun Womack gets a huge sack on Nussmeier, but taken off for the penalty, sure. But I mean, what a payback moment for him to get that, and a big moment for just the vibe of things was just not flowing for LSU. Ah, man. What a play by P.J. Williams. We'll be getting to your comments in just 1 second. What a play by freaking P.J. Williams. Once again, let's look at the score here, too. Good Lord. And then he goes and runs it for 30, 40-plus yards, which every yard counts for this offense. Every one of those return yards is huge. He rips that out of that dude's hand, pokes it out of his hand, pokes it up in the air, picks that thing off. Just freaking incredible. Let me watch that one more time. Let's see here. See, that's the thing. Too many pressures, no sacks. You know, we had so many pressure moments on Chambliss, you would think, right? And just no sacks. We had 0 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. LSU actually had a season low of 9 quarterback pressures. Just 9 quarterback pressures. So LSU, against Chambliss, we didn't even pressure him as effectively as you'd think we would. And I understand Ole Miss run an offense that kind of keeps, there's almost an aversion to being able to rack up pressures in the way that they call the tempo, how quickly the ball gets out. Maybe we could learn a thing or 2 from that. Interesting. Getting the football out of a quarterback's hands quickly. Interesting. Wow. That's never occurred to me or anyone at LSU, interestingly enough. Interesting. Wow, that's a phenomenon. Well, unbelievable. You know, Michael Van Buren, 1,886 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks over 10 games as a freshman at Mississippi State. So some garbage passing, some garbage passing, some moments, but mostly a lot of garbage. And then rushing the football as well, you had a high of 15 yards rushing, 69 rushing attempts, negative 12 rushing yards, but 5 rushing touchdowns. 5 rushing touchdowns for Van Buren. He can be a weapon with that. He's got 1 rushing touchdown this year already. He's got a passing touchdown for LSU. He did look crisp. He did look sharp in that game against Southeastern. Let's be honest though. That Southeastern game made LSU's offense look good. Okay? So just how good can Van Buren really be? Is he better than Garrett Nussmeier to lead this team right now? Is Michael Van Buren better than even a slightly injured Garrett Nussmeier? Because there's a lot of people who I know don't like Garrett Nussmeier, and so the moment like this happens, they're like, hell yes. He would have sucked this way anyway. He would have been terrible anyway, just like he was last year. He was playing like this last year. And that is just a straight up lie. Garrett Nussmeier was not perfect. In fact, Garrett Nussmeier made mistakes during that 3-game losing streak that directly cost us the Alabama game, at least. Plays that perhaps directly cost us the A&M game, that pick right after halftime. They put Marcel Reed in, short field, and they score. We turn it over again, short field, they score. Game over. Alabama, he gets that big fumble. I get it. He made against Florida, the big fumble. He made some big errors. He also kept LSU alive in every game. Without Garrett Nussmeier, we don't even get close to 10 wins. We don't even get close to a respectable season without his 4,000 yards passing. Not even close. And the only LSU quarterback to ever throw for 4,000 yards in a single season. That means something. But so does leading the SEC in interceptions. So does making poor mistakes when, the candle is burning at both ends. You've got to make a play, and your team absolutely needs you to not just lose it. And there's a lot of times that I feel Garrett leverages being a hero, being the guy with doing his job, being a distributor, feeding the football to his teammates, taking care of the ball, not putting yourself in some type of a risk by holding onto the ball forever and eternity on so many different plays. And throwing it into triple coverage when there's just nothing there, but you can make so many exotic throws. You trust your arm so much that you do try it. You try it because you think you can do it, even with a torn torso abdominal area. You can't do it. I can't see it anymore from Garrett Nussmeier. You cannot see that from Garrett Nussmeier, or he cannot be the quarterback, because I don't know when this started. And I understand Garrett Nussmeier has given a lot to LSU. The way that he's represented LSU has been incredible. The way he waited, the way he hung in there, waited for his moment. And I understand, if I'm Kelly, I want this moment for Nussmeier. I want to give the season to him and give him the keys and let him ride. But just like any position, the best guy, the guy who's not going to hurt the team the most, the guy that's going to make the most plays, he has to play. He has to. If that is not Garrett Nussmeier anymore, if that is Michael Van Buren, then the decision must be made. You have you have almost 14 days now to really to take stock of this situation. Take stock of the present, the past, the future ahead. And really say, is this a program, a team that can win a championship in 2025 with Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback? I say yes, when he's at his fully healthy, when he's at his best, when he even just take away like his high, he has to throw 300-yard games every game, or he has to throw 40 touchdowns. I'm not even putting those parameters around it. Nussmeier can game manage too. He can do this. But when he is hurt, when he's screwed up in some key areas, your knee tendonitis right there, your core is all ripped to shreds. Trying to throw the football in that with the Joe Sloan offense, the play calling, the terrible offensive line play, zero rushing game. It's all against us at the same time. There's a hyper microscope on him. Now teams are dropping 8 into coverage. He has to make the perfect decision every play, or it could be a turnover. We really did it actually a disservice to Garrett Nussmeier these 2 seasons, because we didn't give him an offensive line. We didn't give him a running game. And we said, hey, you're going to throw us to a championship and a Heisman Trophy, bro. Like, that's scandalous. That's scandalous because, you could say that to Jaden Daniels and he's going to say, yeah, because I can run away and I can escape. And even then we needed a big-time media campaign to really shine a light, and you needed a weak overall college football season, which you had. I mean, J.J. McCarthy, was he going to win the freaking Heisman over Jaden Daniels? No. Even if he won a championship, which he did, was Penix going to trump Jaden Daniels to a Heisman? No, he wasn't. So it was obvious Jaden Daniels was going to win even with a 3-loss team. That's a team you should win a championship with. Garrett Nussmeier, you look at him, the quarterback that he is, that's a quarterback you should be winning a championship with. That's a quarterback you should be competing for a championship with. If you're not, I think about this. It is tough to know when to pull a quarterback. It is tough to know when to make those decisions. When, are you going to be ride or die? Is there going to be that moment when you really say, hey, we have to make a change here? Where you can be like Nick Saban in the 2018 national championship game, where he pulls Jalen Hurts, a guy who had won a title for him, had lost a title game already for him. He was like, hey, man, I'm not willing to lose another title game. We're pulling your ass for a freshman, Tua. And because of the culture that they have, and because of the type of coach that Saban is, the type of balls that he's got, dragging down the hallway like a bunch of anchors dropped in the middle of the Atlantic, they make, Tua makes the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. They win the national championship over a Georgia team that, if not for Rodrigo Blankenship and his inaccuracy and his lack of being clutch, Georgia win that national championship. They completely outplayed Alabama in that game. But Saban made a decision to change the for lack of a better word, but not, obviously a pun, the tide of what was going on. And hey, I'm not going to be afraid to change the quarterback, but it's when you change the quarterback. Does it hurt the team if you change the quarterback? Does it destabilize everything? Man, you've got to have competition at every spot. You've got to be able to keep everybody in check at every spot. I thought that was why we brought in Michael Van Buren at quarterback. I mean, my God, if we didn't bring in Michael Van Buren at quarterback, you don't have anybody. You got Colin Hurley, who we don't really know the extent to which he was hurt in that car accident. Colin Hurley might not be game ready right now, like at all. And you really needed somebody, and you got Michael Van Buren, a huge pickup, in the transfer portal in the grand scheme of things, what he could develop into. Does Kelly have the balls, or does Kelly have the understanding or the timing to make this move? Is this a move that Kelly should make? I think it would be one of the ballsiest decisions ever made at LSU. As far as, regarding quarterbacks, this is a guy who stayed and waited for LSU. Waited 2 seasons for LSU. Technically 3, to get this 2-year opportunity. And I understand that it's rare in the NIL era having this type of loyalty that Garrett Nussmeier has had for LSU. And you want to honor that. You want to ride with that, right? But I think even Garrett Nussmeier would understand that you cannot sacrifice winning games for some sentimental reasons. No matter how noble, no matter how understood or justifiable, no matter how rare, waiting for LSU, not just transferring. And maybe you send a signal of like, LSU doesn't care about that. We just care about winning. And if we don't care about your loyalty, see ya. Like, I don't know. But I think what's going to really pull Brian Kelly through this situation, if anything, is winning games, because that's the only way. If Brian Kelly loses another game here before Alabama, I'm really worried where the direction is going to go, because this is LSU's only LSU's first loss of the season, and just for an outsider's perspective, Chelsea was like, "Why are you guys losing it? What is going on? Why are you like acting like this is the worst thing since Annie Hall? Like, this is the worst thing since any Woody Allen film ever made. Like, what are you doing?" And I was just like, "You don't understand. It's who we lost to. It's how we lost. You had some injuries in this game too that definitely don't help things. Aaron Anderson, I really worry about his status, and you just lost Gabe Relaford for the season. You need all the depth you can get. It's just it's where is this taking LSU? Where are we going with this team? Where's this team headed? Does there need to be a quarterback change? And that's when Logan Diggs runs right through our defense for that touchdown. Look at this. And I understand. I don't really want to dunk on the defense because the defense was amazing. But this can't happen. But you can see why it happened. They are freaking exhausted. Do you see how they engaged at the line of scrimmage? Some of those guys, they're like, oh, like they could barely freaking move. And here's a moment where Kelly and Nussmeier, this is a moment that I was like, whoa, I have to film this and really dissect this, because this is a moment that kind of is a good window into maybe what's going on here with the quarterback situation and Brian Kelly. Did you see that? That's incredible. Let's watch this again. Tell me what you see. We're gonna get into the comments here in just a second, but I want to hear what you're seeing here. Kelly losing it. Nuss is explaining it to him. Nuss is like really pleading his case, and Kelly's like, you can see him say Joe. I can read his lips say Joe, because it looks like he says Sloan, but obviously he's saying Joe. Nussmeier's clearly telling him that's not my screw up. That dead ball timeout. That's Joe. That's the miscommunication with Joe. And Kelly looks like freaking Gollum or something right there, like just a crazy eye, and goes up there and puts on the headset and really lays into Joe Sloan like crazy there. That was just very interesting take. Oh my God, that is just so bad. That is so bad. Right into the back of each other. Oh my God, again. I mean, we're going to be lucky if Bauer Sharp isn't hurt. Like, holy shit, the dude just got, like, literally crucified in the back. Like, guys, it gets so bad. I'm saying it's not just missed blocks or something or typical stuff. This is offensive linemen tripping over each other. It's bad. It's beyond bad. And here's the thing. We were told that this offensive line was going to be fine. It's actually going to be great. And let me tell you who told us this. Let me show you who told us this.
About the progress his offensive line has made, and he took the opportunity to roll up his sleeves and flex.
Of course, here for a long time.
Undertaking week one, a massive undertaking for 5 new starters to go on the road in that environment. Clemson, the defensive line is probably going to have 3 guys drafted in the NFL next year. Huge ask. Very unenviable task week one. But Brian Kelly was asked about the progress his offensive line has made, and he took the opportunity to roll up his sleeves and flex.
Of course, here for a long time. Got a lot of guys in the NFL. A lot of first-round draft picks. I think I got a pretty good eye for what an offensive line looks like. This group is going to be really good. We don't have a Will Campbell, right? He's the 5th pick in the draft. But we have 5 guys that play well together. And it starts with the center. Our center position and Braylon Moore kind of sets up the rest of the group for success. His combination.
So, we were supposed to have a really, really good offensive line. So, I just really want to ask Brian Kelly. Please support LSU Odyssey so I can get down there and be someone in the media who will actually ask these type of questions. With my credentials, I'll ask these type of questions that no one will ask in the press conferences. And I'll say, Coach, you said that you have a great eye for offensive line. How come you said you were going to be really good. You have a great eye for offensive line play, and it's all going to be fine, and we're going to have a great offensive line. How come this happened? How did this happen? Explain to me, since you have the expertise that I just don't have. Of maybe there's something I'm missing, because you have the most expertise of offensive line play in the world. Let me just take some more notes from you, and you can explain to me how this happened. I'm not going to ask it in such a dickish way, but obviously I would say, you said this is your quote. I'm not trying to use it against you. This is just what you said. You said it was going to be a great offensive line. We're going to be really, really good, centered around Braylon Moore. And all this. Braylon Moore had a bad game yesterday, and maybe he's hurt too still. Maybe that's the problem with this team. Everyone's starting to get hurt, and now it's starting to destabilize their play. Maybe it's starting to screw with the play calling of our offense. We're going to do this and this because that's only what Nuss can do. So we're going to throw short tiny, terrible passes. We're not going to even try to expand the offense whatsoever. And if we do try and expand the offense, we're going to really test his torso by making him throw these giant bombs that he just can't actually throw accurately. And let's see. Hopefully we've got a video of a few of those, because there was some of those where it was like, it was obvious to see that he is hurt. Oh, this is a Harlem Berry touchdown or something like that. So, wow, we actually can run the football. That play in the 4-yard run to Xavier Thomas, and that's the offense. Of course, Caleb Jackson went for 10 yards, but they gave him the 10 yards by playing prevent defense. And I really hate that we're only going to throw 3 passes all season to Caleb Jackson, and we're going to make the third one in one of the most important moments of the season. And we're going to throw it slightly behind him, so he'll have to reach back in. You didn't give this kid any opportunities, except for when you absolutely had to have it, so then you could kind of blame it on him. And you just run him up the middle or do some stupid shit with him where it's like there's a lack of creativity. There's a wastefulness to how we've approached our personnel that is really sickening. For instance, Aaron Anderson, of course, as we said, no one has had a 100-yard game. He's been closest with 99 yards. But get him in the end zone. The dude didn't even have a touchdown this season so far. Not even a single touchdown this season. What the hell is that? The fact that this offense, I'm thinking about it right now. How could they even script getting him a touchdown? Is it that easy? Could they script that? I mean, I've seen offenses where they can do it and they can feed the ball that way and see what happens. And maybe since they're a great player, it usually, they're going to come down with a freaking ball. This offense, it seems like, well, no, since we threw it to him twice, we don't have to throw to him ever again. Well, yeah, but he caught it twice for 36 yards. We're kind of in rhythm. No, we're gonna run it up the middle for 2 yards, and we're gonna get a negative play here and just kill everything like a shot to the head. Well, it's 2nd and 8. You threw on 1st down, and it didn't really get much. I know we're gonna run it on 2nd and 8. We're gonna run it on 2nd and 9. Just good God. Let's get to your comments. We got so many freaking comments here. I love this. Guys. Everybody, thank you so much. Holy crap. We've got King Cole Adams in the house. We've got Christian Callie, my brother from Tingle and Company. Tingle and Company kicking ass, by the way. Love what those guys are doing. My buddy Lloyd, my buddy Tingle over there. You guys are kicking some ass, and it's great to see. We've got Paul Tarver. We've got Keith Louder in the house. We got Booster 6969. Oh my God, this is great. We've got a good group in here. King Cole says, Lon, Garrett is throwing without the use of his left leg. I didn't see one pass with his left leg in front of his right. Can't deliver with velocity or accuracy. Time for BK to come clean. Well, I love the detective work right there. I love that detective work. Let's see here. We got to have a pass of us throwing a football somewhere on here, right? Let's see. Where's it? Here we go. Just feed Xavier. Okay. I'm looking at that, the use of his left leg, and it is just kind of like his footwork is terrible. And so it kind of leads to me thinking his footwork is casual. His footwork almost looks like someone who's so good at the mechanics of football. It's like so ingrained in them that they almost understand how to like hide it. And he's kind of like, it screws the team up though. He kind of fades away on passes. He kind of backs away from it, kind of goes off the back foot just a little, kind of just gets away just to kind of keep himself just a little bit cleaner from getting a hit. Because your body sometimes is going to do this just naturally, like wanting to back away from the contact, back away from a potential to get hit. It's very, quarterbacks are supposed to stand in there, step into craziness going around by their knees. And I understand it's not for the faint of heart, but you know what? It's something Garrett Nussmeier has put himself up for, and he's obviously been hurt multiple times for doing this, and he's trying to be a warrior out there. And the question is, how long do you allow that? How long is he going to be able to last doing this? And how good is LSU going to be with Garrett Nussmeier out there? Those are the questions. Like, how long is he going to be able to last? Because Brian Kelly is probably not going to take him off the field until he's carted off of it. And another, what can we do with him? We can hope that he heals, and we hope that he comes back to being what he can be. We hope that we can be able to run the football, because without that, we're going to have no chance, and he's going to have to throw the ball a lot more. And you put that much on an injured quarterback to just throw it every single damn time, you're going to get interceptions. I don't care how good the quarterback is, you're going to get interceptions. So it's clear that Nussmeier's hurt. It's clear that his knee has been affected before the season, and now during the season, he clearly has been hit low multiple times and taken shots there. One of the last plays that he was in against Southeastern, where, of course, we just had to have him come in after halftime for another series. And so many people said to me, well, that was the plan before the game. And it's like, I don't give a fuck what is the plan before the game. At halftime, you knew that your quarterback came into half. Okay, we're up 35-0. We're good. We can't afford for this dude to get hurt any more than he already is. And guess what happened on that final play against Southeastern? I get it. Nuss threw another touchdown. It was great. He took a nasty low shot in the knee and he's hobbling all for that touchdown. So sweet. You traded to kind of get some more stats and get the media on your side about the offense for Nuss to get a shot really low. And who knows how much that's affected him. My point is it just shows. I'm not saying it got him hurt directly, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying that shows the exact definition of the decision-making and the way the decision-making has been going for LSU and around LSU in the Kelly era. Some haphazard, crazy-ass decisions sometimes, I got to say. What is he doing coming back for that second half series? And yes, it is time for BK to come clean, because listen, I wanted to make sure that I talked about this because I am pissed about this. And let me try and find the quote, because Kelly says Garrett Nussmeier is healthy. Yes. When Jacques Doucet asked the question last night, Jacques Doucet, one of the best reporters I know. I look up to this dude. He is an absolute badass and a Van Halen fan too. This guy asks him, is he not the same? Basically, has he been hurt? He's just not looking like he's got as much zip on his passes, just stuff like that. Immediately, he's like, well, he's healthy. He is healthy. He's good, basically like that. And then Nuss, I don't want to talk about my health after the game. I don't want to talk about my health. And then he's healthy. Well, wait a minute. You told us he tore his torso just like 2 weeks ago, you finally, well, yeah, he's been playing through this like a warrior, and you probably would have gone off about how he tore his torso, and he's so good if he threw for 400 yards last night, but because he played really the worst game as a starter at LSU, you're really hiding that fact of what's causing it. He's healthy. You told us he tore his torso. How could he be healthy? You told us his knee has knee tendonitis, but then also that he had like people looking at it and potentially a mini operation. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Garrett Nussmeier that is really weird, and I understand it's because he's such an asset. You cannot lose him for the season and think that like, hey, all of our goals are intact. We're gonna be fine here. But at the same time, it's starting to look like you might not be able to win with him. As far as him staying in this condition, I don't think you could win with any quarterback in this type of a condition, with no running game, with no offensive line, with a receiving core that is not pulling their own weight. I mean, everything is really against Garrett Nussmeier, you've got to admit. Whether you really cheer for him, root him, want him benched for MVP, never wanted him to start, whatever your opinion is on Garrett Nussmeier, think he's the next Heisman, think he's the next first-round pick, number 1 overall pick, think he's like the next quarterback god. Wherever you land on your opinion on Garrett Nussmeier, you can admit it. You have to admit it. Everything's gone against him. No running game, no offensive line, receiving core that is greatly underplaying, bad play calling. And then, yes, he's added his own recipe of poor decision-making at times. Of course. But I just don't think that when you're injured and all of these things are going against you at the same time, that it's something that Tom Brady would be able to navigate easily either. LSU are still 4-1. Let's remember that. I understand it was a pukish, disgusting loss. LSU are still 4-1. When we played Clemson, a top 5 team that was ranked in the top 5, you thought you were probably going to lose to them. They're going to win a national championship, blah, 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 blah. That turned very quickly. Now this situation where Nussmeier's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. Oh, my God. You could never win with Nuss. You're never going to win with Nuss. Brian Kelly, fire his ass. Blah, 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 blah. Fire this guy. Fire that guy. This could change fast, too. If you put in the damn work, you do what, actually start calling the plays that are just staring you right in the face of this is the skill set of our players. This is what gets our players going. This is what can take LSU to the next level. This is what our guys are actually capable of doing on a football field. But instead, I expect more of the same from Joe Sloan. Because the safe, conservative route is always going to be the route that he goes. And it's holding LSU back, man. And at the same time, Brian Kelly says that he's the handbrake that also helps keeping that in that place of just, he's saying, I'm the one who's holding it back. I'm the one who's keeping things, Joe Sloan from going pedal to the metal. Well, then stop it. Get your foot off the damn brake and get out of the way. If Joe Sloan is really like, you're in the way of Joe Sloan, like you've said, Kelly, then get the fuck out of his way. Seriously. But if Joe Sloan needs Kelly's help calling plays, which some seem to think last year, then by all means. But be honest with us about, if someone's actually capable of doing their job, because he made it seem like everything was against Matt House and that Matt House had kind of a bad rap and Matt House was just going to be fine. And there was no problem with the defense, even after we got killed by Ole Miss and allowed 55 points. There's no problem with the defense. And now it's, hey, you're spoiled. You're spoiled for wanting an offense that can score 30 points because you have a championship defense. You're spoiled for wanting a complete team. It's kind of like, dude, You're paid $10 million a year right out of state taxpayers' funds. You have a foundation, a charity that makes probably a lot of other money for you, and you're going to call LSU fans spoiled? Because he wasn't just aiming that at Cobble. He was aiming that at everyone who's questioning the offense, including a bunch of fans. And it really just rubbed me the wrong way. But then also, you're going to lie to us and tell us that Garrett Nussmeier is healthy when we know he's not. And not only that, but you did not hear a single member of the media say, bro, you told us he's hurt like 2 weeks ago. How did that miraculously heal? You didn't tell us it healed. You didn't tell us he was 100%. You know, like, is he 100%? Okay, he's 100%. When did that happen? How did this heal? Like, I want to know everything about this, Brian, because if he's healed, we don't have to worry about it anymore, right? So I want to know everything that happened here, because this is the guy you put all the chips into the middle of the table for 2 seasons. And you're going to tell me that he was hurt before the season even started? Well, God, I already knew that. It seems like that finally everyone is waking up to the reality. And it took a loss for everyone to wake up to that reality. You're overreacting, Lon. How could you say that Garrett Nussmeier's hurt? Kelly only said it's tendonitis. Chill, bro. Chill, man. And I got upset about it. I got impassioned about it because when I know something for a fact and people are just like, no, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes. I'm literally like, what are you, Israel? Like, I know what I just saw. Don't you gaslight me. Like, it makes me suspicious of those people even more. And it gets me hot. It gets me going. Like, how dare you? I'm gonna expose you at the highest rate, highest possible charges here now. And it's just, you have a head coach that don't you think that this offense is terrible? It's not. We just are very conservative, we're very considerate, and we're very smart. Because you're not smart, you don't want to win games, you want to get stats. That's what you just want to get, stats. And we want to win. We want to play to win. And then you see this. Well, you forgot how to coach to win, Coach Kelly. Respectfully, sir. And I just feel like there's kind of a thing against the media where it's like, I've felt it for years, where it's like Kelly's been really cool to us by giving us a press pass and all this stuff. But at the same time, if you even dare say the team played bad, it feels like you're going to get your credentials pulled. So people are terrified to even ask a question. There's an intimidation factor there too. No one wants to question Brian Kelly in public, or else what's going to happen to Michael Cobble's going to happen. And then guess what? You're never going to get that interview with Kelly. Why do you think, guys who usually get the interview with Brian Kelly preseason, like Jacques Doucet, like Jordy Culotta in the years past, like Michael Cobble, actually, has usually gotten the Kelly preseason interview. Those guys didn't get anything from Kelly preseason. There was no local media that got a preseason Brian Kelly interview outside of Wilson Alexander getting some quotes for some articles. Wilson's definitely, it seems, Kelly's favorite, but outside of Wilson, it seems like Kelly was like, you guys questioned me too much. And so there's kind of this weird, like, distrust of the local media, when at the same time the local media isn't even pushing him as much as they could or should, because of that threat of, you're going to get your credentials pulled if you ask me the right questions. I'm even feeling like I could get my credentials pulled just talking about this, because I know I'm going to get the call. I know I'm going to get a text from somebody who either is in charge of the credentials or is close to it, and they're going to be talking about, hey, this is not looking good. You can't say that. How dare you? You know, like someone's going to get upset about someone sharing an opinion and doing their job, talking about LSU football, talking about how maybe the head coach entrenches himself with the media, and how that sometimes maybe isn't the best thing, where you're telling us a lot of what we want to hear, what you think we want to hear, and we want to hear the truth. And Kelly, to be as complimentary as I can be, to be honest as I can be, Kelly actually gives it to you straight a lot of times. But you cannot deny there's a lot of political stuff to it. And I've really had it with it, because I really just, when I saw him saying that he's healthy, he's fine, there's no problem, he's healthy. Dude, we just watched what we just watched, and you're telling me that just didn't happen? I can't believe no one in the media room did that, because I don't think I could have controlled myself. I would have been like, Coach, I know I'm going to be as professional as I can be, and this is being a professional actually asking you this question. It's actually unprofessional to sit here and be too afraid to do it, but I'm going to actually be the real journalist here and actually ask you, not be a propaganda arm. We know Nuss is not healthy. I've been watching Nussmeier pass a football since the pandemic, since before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. I know how he throws a football. Like, he's better than this. Way better than this. He knows he's better than this. He looks frustrated as hell. He looks limited as hell. He looks pissed as hell. And it's because he's hurt in a few different areas. Why can't you just be honest with us? We know you're going to protect your quarterback. We know you're going to protect your guy. We know you're going to keep the information tight. All you really have to say is, like, you've told us what you've told us. He has a torso injury. You didn't have to offer up that information. Even though LSUOdyssey.com already reported that and already had put that out there, that had been an abdominal injury. Kelly says it was torso and this is what's going on. Kind of offered that out of nowhere like 2 weeks ago. He didn't have to. He didn't have to put that target on Nuss. And also, he didn't have to say before the season that Nuss's knee was messed up. Nobody knew that either. So, really, the only person who's put out this really private information about injuries, sensitive information about injuries, has been Kelly himself. So it's very puzzling to me. Very puzzling to me, Cole. And so it is time for BK to come clean. And if that means I'm protecting my players, I'm not telling you shit, then fine. You don't have to play the dance where you make up some bullshit. Just be, Bill Belichick. I'm not going to say shit. You're getting nothing from me. That's it. Christian Cali says, what do you think, Lon? Man, I think I just threw my voice out for the last hour telling you guys how I think. Oh my God. It's been quite the ride. Cole Adams says, by the way, go look at the Ole Miss touchdown before the half. We have 8 players left of center, and Ole Miss have 8 players right of center. Kiffin has to be laughing his ass off. Dude, there was some squonky alignment shit. And just watching the film that I did, I'm like, unreal. Because when plays happen, I'm already charting them like live. Like, okay, that's when that happened. That's when that happened. That's when that happened. So I don't have to go back and even look. I've already got all the information down. So I can go back and look for 100% fact and get that footage and go watch that and see how things transpired. And you saw some ridiculous alignments where it was like, what are we doing? How is this happening? And you know what? That's another theme of the Kelly era. Paul Tarver says, commit to the run early and stick with it. 4 yards plus 3 yards plus 3 yards equals first. Exactly. 9 rushes in first half is not enough. Going forward, looks like we will face rush 3, drop 8, daring us to run the ball. Yep. And so why don't you take advantage of it, you know? Like Xavier Thomas. It seems like every time we get him the ball, something positive happens. At least a few yards. It seems like those plays will at least generate something. Okay, so run them. You got to run them then. And that's the thing. 9 rushes early in a game against Ole Miss, a high-running team. You want to keep your defense off the field, chilling on the sidelines, keep their rhythmic offense off as well. It kind of like destabilizes everything unless you control the game, make the game shorter. Man, everything we wanted to do, we could not do. Everything that should not have happened did. Everything. And at the same time, LSU had so many moments to swing this game. LSU had a lot of early luck to take over this game and just completely screwed it up. Cole Adams says, Ole Miss touchdown right before the half. Ole Miss is... That's funny. Both guys said... Oh, no, that's Cole actually saying that again, twice. Cole. Keith Ladder says, Brian Kelly can't tell the truth. It's just... It's all the politics of being a head coach. He gets caught up in the politics of it all. He thinks he has to say what we want to hear so that he'll be more liked. And it's like, dude, sometimes the last thing any of us are thinking about is how much we like or don't like the head coach. You know, like just if you don't want to tell us your injury of your quarterback, don't make up some crap that he's fine. We know he's not. And I get that's his shtick to try to not give out information is to basically obfuscate and be weird about it, like you see from a lot of politicians and a lot of weird government officials. But man, we're paying you too much money from the state of Louisiana taxpayer coffers for you to treat, the fan base and the media like that. And so I think some type of respect is in order, and don't treat people like they're fools. Keith Ladder says, oh, well, LSU is now negative 250 to not make college football playoffs. Don't read into that, my man. We're still 4-1. If LSU finished the season with just 2 losses, we're going to make the playoff. And, I mean, is this a situation where maybe you don't want to make the playoff? You want changes. Maybe that's something that some people would rather have ushered in now than later. I think no matter what, you're going to be getting a 5th season of Brian Kelly outside of LSU losing every game from here to the end of the season. Like, you could actually have such an elite defense and actually only win 4 games. That's how much the offense plays into the college football nowadays, the game of football nowadays. You could have a top 5 championship level defense and still lose, 8 games, close games, because your offense can't score the damn ball. But I look across the country, Keith, and I see LSU should be able, if Nussmeier can get healthy, get back to anywhere resembling what he was last year as far as at least throwing the ball. If LSU can manufacture anything to get 80, 90, even 75 total rushing yards a game, like, the bar is so freaking low right now. It's crazy. Maybe we can put a run together here and do it. But to just immediately count this team out because of this loss, because of injuries to Nussmeier, because of certain things, I don't agree with. It's a long season, and the problem is you've had a quarterback who's played the whole thing already injured. And these are injuries that aren't going to get better. They're going to get worse before they get better. You're hoping for magic that in this bye week and in the bye week right before Alabama, these 2 bye weeks, that it can buy you some time. And, maybe you get Aaron Anderson back. Trades Green, he was back. He didn't quite look at his best. I don't even think we threw him a pass. I'll look that up. But just some weird stuff going on in this game, in this whole season offensively. Paul Tarver says BK, Nuss, and Sloan are not on the same page with play calling. RE sideline argument between BK, Nuss, and Sloan after the interception. We played that footage, and there's clearly something that's just wrong. Something that's just not right. And I don't know really who necessarily is. This is who's to blame, and this is who did. I don't even care. I think it's about how do you fix this damn thing. Like, I don't care about blaming people. Like, can you fix it? Can you fix it? And if you can't fix it with the current setup, you got to move on. Trades Green just had 1 target his way. Berrien Brown led the way with 8 targets his way, just 40 yards receiving. Xavier Thomas was incredible to me, guys. I got to say, Xavier Thomas, big shout out to him. We got to have some positivity on this show. Besides talking about how great the defense was, Xavier Thomas, man. Time after time after time, Xavier Thomas makes plays for this team. Offensively, on special teams, actually being one of the few guys who can run the ball. Xavier Thomas is awesome. And I'm just want him to know, because someone told me that he watches our show. Someone told me that he listens to our show, and I think he understood that he had a fan in us. So, Xavier, if you're watching, I want you to know that we are very happy you're an LSU Tiger, because you're an absolute badass. Xavier Thomas even threw a pass this season, actually completed a pass for 16 yards. I mean, there's nothing that Xavier Thomas can't do for LSU this season. Let's see. So far, he's got 178 receiving yards, 14 catches, two receiving touchdowns. He's got 93 rushing yards from 14 carries for 6.6 per carry. That is something that works. Running the football with Xavier. It manufactures yards, that giving the football to this guy in these ways, however you're setting them up, whether it's a jet sweep, him coming in the backfield from motioning out wide, I don't give a damn. Keep calling that. That actually works. 6.6 yards per rush. Even if he just gets 3 or 4 yards, don't throw the freaking play away. No one else can get 3 or 4 yards. Like, let's start using our damn head here. Special teams as well for us this year. He's got 103 punt return yards. He led the SEC with 633 kick return yards last year. Had the 1 touchdown as well for us, that kick return for a touchdown. He's really one of the only guys who racks up numbers for LSU this season. And it's just not good enough. We don't have guys who really test a defense. It's just not good enough. We haven't tested a defense with these guys. We haven't given these guys the option. We haven't given these guys the amount of of reps. We haven't fed these guys enough to get in a rhythm, even to do it, have a chance to contribute. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. No, it's been 1 week. God, I'm gonna keep singing that if I keep saying it's been really hard to watch. Just an offense that lets this defense down so many times. This defense plays out of their minds. They play like a defense we haven't seen since 2011 at LSU, 2012 at LSU. They're absolute just freaks out there. And then we have an offense that just completely shits it away. Cole Adams says Bauer Sharp is not an SEC caliber tight end. Drops, the fumble, and a missed block. Yep. I think there was a ton of hype his way that all these white guys are going to be great. And there was kind of a vibe about that. And I'm not going to count him out and say, he's done, throw him to the wolves. But Bauer Sharp has not been effective for LSU outside of a 65-yard catch and run that he had. Take that back. I think he had another play where he took it for like 30 yards or something through the middle. We're probably just not utilizing him correctly. And I think that's the thing about this offense is like, I don't think we're utilizing much of anyone correctly. So no one is going to look close to their optimum, like at all. And so sometimes it's tough to know what we're seeing here. But if you keep watching the film, it's quite obvious and it sticks out. Booster 6969 says LSU sucks, the quarterback sucks, the O-line sucks, and the head coach sucks. Booster 6969. LSU sucks, the quarterback sucks, the O-line sucks, and the head coach sucks. But the offensive coordinator is great. Good God, that's hilarious. Booster, you're the greatest. You're hilarious, man. Paul Tarver says, Lon, love your quip about BK losing his religion at pressers. BK's losing his religion. I always would change the lyrics because of Michael Stipe's political views to finding my liberalism. I went to the PETA March. I ate soy for dinner. Participated in a gay marriage. Paul Tarver says, "Long, love your quip about BK losing his religion at pressers. I immediately went to REM's. That is me in the spotlight. That's the line that made me use it, man. That's the line that made me use it. That's me in the spotlight. Like, I don't even like that song as much as I love REM's. The rest of REM's the rest of their catalog, man. Like, I love Monster. It's an incredible album. My favorite REM album, New Adventures in Hi-Fi. If you haven't listened to that album, I'm sure you have, being a big REM fan. Like I'm sure you've listened to this stuff. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, but for anyone who is like, REM, oh yeah, that crappy band, you're wrong. They have so many eras that are incredible, and Losing My Religion is just one of them. It's kind of their folky, acoustic, orchestral, John Paul Jones-led area, where they wanted to sound like a mix of Led Zeppelin acoustic mixed with like, REM and kind of these weird folky 60s British Fairport Convention type of influences that kind of became a whole thing for 2 albums. But they have the jangly era that I love. The every single song seems to be like like everything's all fast and they're on speed or something. And then it has there's the acoustic, there's the green era, the major label era document where the One I Love and Orange Crush and all that stuff. They're kind of going to that era. Well, I mean, REM is great. One of the greatest freaking bands of all time. I drink their cup. I am obsessed with everything they've done. So, I mean, I had to throw it in there. Had to throw it in, man. And Paul, that's why we love when people like you watch the show, is because we can throw in these inside jokes and these things, and we know that you're going to get it, and it's going to maybe make you laugh, maybe make you go, what the hell is he talking about? This crazy guy. It's a great thing. Paul, thank you so much for watching the show, brother. Booster6969 says, when you are paying someone $4 million, you can't bench them. One of the problems of NIL. You know, that's a point. That's a point. But $4 million or winning a game. But I get it. It's not just that. It's not just that, hey, we're paying him $4 million. We can't take him out. It's this booster's paying him $4 million. You can't take him out because then you're telling that booster his money doesn't matter and it's a waste of time. You have to let the Nussmeier thing work. So it's kind of strange there. And I don't know. Let's see here. Booster 6969. This team reminds me of Les Miles teams. Ooh. Coach looks confused. Loads of penalties. Horrible clock management. Timeouts at awful times. Can I argue? I can't. I can't. Because I remember being so angry for the defenders and the running backs of those teams because the defenses would play their asses off. The offense would screw it all up. And we would lose a game like 17 to 14 that we had no business losing. To some shit scum like Auburn or some shit heel like Ole Miss. I don't know. There is differences, but it's different patterns. But what really interests me is the fact that these patterns continue and continue and continue. Safe offensive play calling, safe offensive decisions. It's almost scared to give a guy like the ball more than 5 times a game. Maybe not clock management so much, but it's like structural, knowing what the hell you're going to do when you go up to the offensive line. I really want to go and find how many times they have called timeout in a dead ball situation in the Brian Kelly era. I have a feeling I'd be counting a lot. But I think I have a way to find that stat. We've been kind of researching ways to use artificial intelligence to help us in a research purpose. And then we just have to double check and verify that AI, whatever result the AI thing has given us from the search engine, now we just have to verify the result. So things where I used to have to go digging through site after site after site, tally all these things up, put them in a calculator on my phone and total it all up. Now I can use AI for certain ways to do that, and I love that. But at the same time, it scares me. I don't want it to become sentient and choke me or something. And 3.6 yards after a catch. No, God, no, it's alive. Cole Adams says, yes, Nuss hiding it because fans want a quarterback that can run and deliver deep balls. He's hurting the team. Cole says, Nuss is a Christian and will not lie, so he said he wouldn't talk about his health. No. Oh my God, I feel like I just got done doing coke with Tim Dillon. Cole, I love your every comment. I don't even know what to say to that. Usually I have like 5-10 minute responses to questions, and I don't even know if I can top that. Keith Louder, my brother, says, Booster, how dare you? He's responding to Booster's comment about Les Miles. Booster says, this looks like Les Miles' teams. Keith Louder says, Booster, how dare you? Les Miles had damn physical football teams that could run the ball. BK teams do neither. Booster, Keith has a better point. That's true. That's true. A lot of great running backs, a lot of great running teams in that era. I don't know about this, Cole. King Cole says Michael Van Buren will make mistakes, but his scrambling ability will help the run game. I don't know about that, man. I don't know how much I believe that. Because we always thought Jaden Daniels running the ball would help our running backs, and it never really did. Especially when you have a coordinator who really doesn't like calling running plays at all. The man is like an aversion to running the ball. And so you're kind of in the worst case scenario there. But, you know, if Nussmeier is unable to function as a quarterback, if Nussmeier can't throw the football, like if what we see again, if what we saw against Ole Miss does not improve or progress over the bye week, yes, Michael Van Buren needs to be in the game. And that pains me to say that. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. You know? You can't. It's crazy that the quarterback position has like this elevated, like, you can't be taken out for any reason unless you're like about to die. Like, no, if you're not playing well, you're going to be taken out. I don't understand the sanctity of that. Cole Adams says, if Garrett is hurt, we will lose to Bama, A&M, and OU. Justin Valiant says, bench Nuss and put Van Buren in. Cole Adams, when Arkansas fires Sam Pittman, they did today. They fired him today officially. Finally, after all these years. Could we get him as O-line co-OC? That would be a fantastic hire. Because even Arkansas, they can run the ball. They maybe can't win games, but they can run the damn ball. I don't even know what to think about Brad Davis anymore. Because Brad Davis is such a great O-line recruiter. We've been told by guys like Will Campbell he's the best O-line coach in the country, all this stuff. We haven't really seen that. And I don't know if that's on him, if it's on Joe Sloan, if it's on, how we run the offense ever since Kelly's been here with Denbrock as well. If it's on, blaming the fact that we had a running quarterback and he just kind of got lazy. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is wrong with that, but we can't run the ball. Booster 6969. If this team does not make the playoffs, then most of the coaches should be fired. $20 million on the roster, which is what Ohio State spent, and they won the national championship. Making the playoffs should be a given. It's not only should be a given, you should be going on a run. You should be going on a run. And the thing that will bother us most when we look back at some of these wasted seasons, guys, isn't necessarily all the decisions, all of the failures, all of the screw-ups from LSU having a worst ever program defense in 2023, having an inept offense that wasted drives and wasted opportunities in the red zone in 2024, could not run the damn ball in 2024, and then had a bad defense in a few games, and then in 2025 a completely inept offense. I think the whole thing that really is going to haunt us with all of that, those patterns, is the fact that LSU, the last few years, have been in a very weak college football landscape where there's a lot of cannibalism going on. There's a lot of other teams knocking each other out. And there was a lot of real estate for LSU to get into a college football playoff and go on a run and win a title. 2023. You're telling me that if LSU even has an average, below average defense, that they don't beat that 2023 Michigan or Alabama team in that playoff? They definitely win a championship in 2023. They can't stop Jaden Daniels. The defense just gets a turnover or two, it's over. Mekhi Wingo get a few sacks, stuff like that. It's over. If you could just generate that. Mekhi Wingo got hurt right before that Alabama game in 2023. So let's remember that too. That made a big deal. Made a big difference. But all of that in totality, you've had these chances to not only go into a playoff and go on a run, but actually win championships. And you've just thrown them away. Heisman quarterback, a record-setting offense, and you pissed it away. 2024 should have been a season. You beat 4-5 Florida, and you're in the playoff. A playoff that had Indiana in it. How far could LSU have gone? LSU could have gone on a serious run last year if they just get into the thing, and you never know. LSU usually they deliver, and they're usually pretty damn good in these postseason games. And we really want to try that in football. For Christ's sake. It's just, oh. And it's the fact that it's been such a weak era of college football. There's no Nick Saban. Kirby Smart is having some down years. Georgia isn't a powerhouse. Dabo Swinney and Clemson have fallen far, far, far from their precipice, to the point that LSU beat them with this offense. It's just, this is an era of LSU that will haunt us because of the guys that we've had on these rosters that we haven't really gotten the best out of. I mean, we were excited about what we're going to see from Harold Perkins after a few games, and now we've reverted right back to what are we doing? He spent 38 snaps yesterday covering somebody in the slot. We have Tamarcus Cooley on this team for a reason, so that he can come down in coverage and cover the guy in the slot, and you can have Harold Perkins in that free roll still. and you kind of dare Ole Miss to beat you over the top. They're not with A.J. Halsey back there. A.J. Halsey would have had that locked down, but it's just 38 snaps covering guys and coverage. Just not using a guy how they should. Joseph Bennett says the game has passed Coach Kelly by. This is his last stop. LSU will never win a championship with this coaching staff. Wow. Wow. That is a hot take. That is a big hot take. The game has passed Coach Kelly by. That's not saying that we should just, change staff or fix this. That's saying, Kelly, you're not good at LSU. You're not good for anywhere. That's a condemnation if I've ever heard that. And I don't know if that's true just yet, but I think it's insane to just expect every coach at LSU is going to get 5-6 years to see if they can maybe win a championship at LSU. I said that all throughout the offseason too, that I didn't think it was what LSU did was give guys 5-6 years just to see if they can win a title. We usually don't do that at LSU. And with him, we have. So it's been very strange with that, but you guys, thank you so much for watching the show tonight. I've had a ton of fun with y'all, like I always do, but tonight was just, you guys got me laughing like crazy, which was good because yesterday was not a lot of fun with the defeat, and I still had fun playing with my son though. He was funny, and he was saying some really hilarious things. Now that he's talking a lot more, he's hilarious, my little guy, and I had a lot of fun with him. But I have a lot of fun doing the coverage of it, but just knowing that we've lost a game and the way we have it and it's not just that, it's the future of it. It's the potential of where's this offense really going to go? How far can we go up from this? Can this go up? Can this change? Will this situation turn around? Let's just have faith that it will. But you know what? If you're not honest with yourselves, you're not honest with what's going on, you're never going to get there. And let's hope we get some clear answers on Nussmeier's health and what's going on with Aaron Anderson, some of these guys. And stay tuned to LSUOdyssey.com because we've gotten a few texts during this show that I just don't think you guys will want to hear, but I think it's news that we should be breaking. So, guys, thank you all, and stay tuned to LSUOdyssey.com. And like another season, I really hate breaking injury news, but another season where we're going to have to do it. And I'm really not a fan of this, to be honest. I'm not like, yes, I love reporting like last year when we reported that Jacobian Guillory tore his Achilles, or Garrett Dellinger was going to be out for the year, or Kyle Parker was going to be out for the year. We reported like 4 of those injuries, and it was not a lot of fun. In fact, people thought because we were doing it so much and making it a habit, they thought we were like celebrating it. It was very strange. And it was like, why? Just because we reported it? But we've got some more news to report about LSU guys getting hurt, and so I'm going to make a few calls, verify these messages that I've received, ask some players, talk to some family members, see what's going on. And everybody, absolutely love doing the show for you guys. You guys are incredible. There's a lot of you watching right now. I think we have quite a major audience right now across all the platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and on LSUOdyssey.com. There's so many of you watching. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting us and what we do. If you want to help us be able to be there at press conferences, be there for games, report all this stuff as much as we can, and with boots on the ground, help us with some travel costs by just subscribing to LSU Odyssey. It's really not that expensive. It's $2 for a month, $4 for a year. at LSUOdyssey.com/subscribe. And if you can't do that, if money is something that is just too tight, you can support us by clicking on things. A share, a like, a comment. Those things help us big time. So everybody, thank you for that. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bells to know when we go live, because we're going to do some pretty sick live streams coming up here in the bye week. I really have been working on some stuff, trying to get some good guests lined up for y'all, and cannot wait to share with you guys. Everyone have a hell of a rest of your Sunday night. I plan on doing that with my family. I plan on really relaxing, having a good rest of the night. Hope you guys have a killer week, and we're going to be with you every step of the way, entertaining you, informing you, and showing you the way of the tiger. Peace and good night. Good luck, everyone.